Hello. In this clip from our Justia webinar, Lynn Garson, attorney and mental health advocate, guides us through useful tools that help people recognize and manage stress within their legal practice. Remember, if you want to see more Justia videos on law practice and legal marketing, be sure you're subscribed to our channel.
Hi, everybody. The title of this webinar is Balancing the Scales, Practical Stress Management for Lawyers. I'm Lynn Garson, and I will tell you a little information from the beginning. If you struggle with more than occasional stress, this program is offered to provide information and tools for you. It's for all lawyers, judges, firms, corporations, everybody, including the judiciary, who often does not avail itself of some of these sorts of programming and I think can use it. And the biggest takeaway I want you to get is that this is not an insoluble problem. It's not intractable. There are tools, there are tips, but managing stress in your practice does require you to learn a lot about yourself. And if you're not used to that, that's a pretty big ask. And I think it's in direct proportion to how stressed you are, how willing some people are to take that on, because it's a lot of work. And we'll talk more about that later. My information is on here for you. My cell phone is on there for a reason. I am available, and my email, I am available if anyone wants to contact me outside of the webinar or outside of the way that Justia gives you to get in contact with presenters. I'm available for that. If someone is struggling and they want more information or just to reach out to me, that is perfectly fine. That's what I'm here for. You'll see as we talk about this, wherever you are, I have been there, and I am very happy to talk about my experience and give you the benefit of whatever I can. So now the agenda, very simple. I'm going to introduce, in fact, I think we've pretty much done that. Very importantly, I'm going to give you a framework. I think lawyers do well with a framework and something concrete to look at. And the framework that I'm going to give you is not of my own devising, but I think it's very, very good. We will identify stress. I'm sure you all can identify it your own, but it comes in various shapes and sizes. And then we're going to talk about addressing stress in law practice for yourself and also in helping others, because I know people have questions about what can they do to help a colleague that they're concerned about. So let me introduce myself in a little more detail. I was encouraged to put this slide together. I think it's a great idea because it shows you just how much we as attorneys can hide what's really going on, how we can wear the mask, which I'll talk about a little bit later. So you'll see on the left side, by all appearances, JD or of the Coy, Sutherland Asbill was a big Atlanta firm. They're now Evershed Sutherland, pretty big firm. Paul Hastings, interesting life abroad, counsel a couple of times, counsel at McKenna Long in Atlanta, now with Baker Hostetler, about 11 or 12 years. So great, good resume, good CV, right? So then you look at the right side, mental health journey. And that is a very different story. And I am telling you that at any given moment, as you scan through this and you see family medical leave for 10 weeks. That's Shepherd Pratt is a very fine mental health facility in Baltimore. Went back to another facility for weeks, just a year and a half after that. No one knew if I didn't want them to know, and that is the truth. If I chose to divulge to somebody at work because I needed at least one person maybe to know what was going on, that was my choice. Otherwise, no one ever knew. And I can tell you that if you see the fifth or sixth line down on the right side, couldn't eat, sleep, or breathe, lay on floor of office. I would go into work and I would have to lie down on the floor. We didn't have locks on the doors. So I would put my feet to the door so nobody could open it. And I would lie on the floor just to try to breathe. That was in maybe November of 2007, actually, December of 2007, closed 2 back-to-back transactions, December of 2007, while this was all going on and while no one knew at work that this was going on. It continued. And when I say it, couldn't eat, sleep, or breathe, didn't want to get out of bed, depressed, anxious, everything but the kitchen sink. And I still got up for 6 months and went into the office and did the work until I literally could not do it anymore. At that point, my brother was instrumental in getting my parents to pay for what was a very costly stay at Shepherd Pratt back in 2008. And you will see there that I was diagnosed for major clinical depression, generalized anxiety disorder, bipolar 1, panic disorder, complex PTSD, and binge eating disorder. Hardly seems possible, right? But that's exactly what was going on all the months and months that I was still working. So I went to that facility, and after 3 weeks, they told me that my prognosis was fair to good with ongoing intensive treatment. And I said, what does that mean? 3 to 4 times a week therapy. And I said, oh no, you're going to make me well. You're the experts. I'm going back to work. And when I got out, indeed, I did go back to work. I did not listen to what they had said. And I did end up in a quite different facility in the state of Georgia, where it was me and getaway car drivers and people with tracks on their arms because they'd injected themselves with crack mixed with rat poison. It was an interesting experience. And the director of that facility said at the family meeting, and this is a quote, "You will never work again. You should apply for Social Security disability." Those were the hardest words I think I ever heard, because that was not the script that I'd written for myself. But I believed the experts, and I did ultimately hit send on the application. Hardest thing I ever did. At the same time, I was looking for jobs. And I did get a job in 2011, just about a year after he said that. And that was at the job right before McKenna Long. And then as a group, we moved to Baker Hostetler about 5-6 years ago. I have made reference at the bottom of the mental health journey side, 2 articles I wrote that really are deep dives into everything I know. First one, in fact, is titled Everything I Know About Suicide, which is a fair amount, having been pre-suicidal myself, meaning that I didn't have a plan, but I was pretty close. And then the language of asking for help, because I do believe that you have to be strategic when you're asking for help. So take a look at those articles if you're interested, because I do believe, as I said, that asking for help in this day and age in a law firm of medium or large size, you still have to be strategic. I'll talk a little later. There is still stigma. We all know it. But there are ways to work around it and be creative, and that article does talk about that. A few things I want to tell you before we get started, and I do also want to tell you, I know some people are sitting here saying, what does this have to do with stress? She's talking about mental health facilities and diagnoses and articles about suicide. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about those things. I will tell you, and I always say this, I'm worried about people who are stressed. I'm more worried about people who are burned out. I start getting maximally worried about people who are having panic attacks or sliding into relapse, for example, if they are in recovery from substance use disorder. So it's progressive. I'll show you a spectrum that I have on that soon. But I will talk to you about stress, I promise. But I want to talk about a couple of other things first. So these are surprises to many people. Recovery from mental health challenges and substance use disorder is not linear. I used to think it was like you get on an airplane, the airplane goes up, hard climb going up, but then you level off and it's all good. It is so not like that. And if you're working with family members or friends or colleagues, do not expect that. It is as nonlinear as anything could be. It's more like up and down and up a little bit, down, up a little more, down some more, up. Um, that's not a failure by anybody, is how it is. Similarly, people think that just as I did, that 10 weeks at Shepherd Pratt, I should be fixed. Why I thought that and why anybody thinks that they can fix in a number of weeks or even months a problem that, as you saw in the first screen, I've had since I was in my teens, I can't imagine, but we do seem to think that. It's again, couldn't be further from the truth. It takes time. We talk about experts. I thought the folks at Shepherd Pratt were experts. They were very good at their job, but I will tell you, I was lucky that I had a good relationship and it worked for me, the therapist that I had there. There were others who got very fine folks as therapists. They simply did not form a good relationship, and they spent all that money and did not come away with as much of a good result as I did. And then finally, fix is the wrong lens to use here because it implies that the expert is going to do all the work. And that is so not true. The person who is doing the work was me. And if you struggle with some of these issues, it has to be you. Nobody else can do this for you, or no one could do it for me, although I really didn't believe that for many years. I only got better when I did believe it and took responsibility for my own recovery. And that's true. On to stress, finally. I know you're excited. What I can and can't help with, and I know you know this, I can't help with your billable hours requirements, your caseload, if you're a public defender, all the stresses that you're under, deadlines, what's been true for a number of years now, being on call via text or email 24/7. It's like being in the ER, being an ER physician, I feel. I'm on call 24/7. There is no moment in time when I'm not expected to look at my emails and be available to answer something. For my own part, I'm actually going to take steps to make changes with that. I no longer desire that to be part of my practice, and I can do it. I'm in a fortunate position to be able to do that. What I can help you with is some things that you might not be aware of that you are doing unconsciously that make things worse, or at least don't make things better. And I can also give you a few tips, hopefully, that will help you in trying to manage all of this, because, as we know, it can be pretty unmanageable. Very recently, it got very unmanageable for me. And that's why I'm very vigilant, even more than I was a couple of months ago, about staying on top of my own stress and doing what I can to manage it within myself and with the client and with the partners that I work with.
Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did enjoy it, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more law practice and legal marketing videos. See you in our next clip.